Ah, how do you wish
Mm.
to be presented?
Yeah, just I'm a holistic doctor, and I know what I say. I'm living now on light, whatever you want to call it. That's enough.
Okay,
We go from there.
okay.
It's not that important.
Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Cristiana Eltrayan. I'm honored to be here with Roy Martina, holistic doctor from now residence in the US. And
Hmm.
we're having a live streaming together talking about living on light. The topic of today is breatharianism, but also solutions in times of change, because
Hmm.
it seems to be an unprecedented time now on the planet. And good to have you, Roy, here. You have so much experience. Please tell us something
Hmm.
about yourself before we begin. Thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you for having this talk with me. I think what's important is that when we look back at our lives, there's always been signs, at least in my life, that something was different. People thought I was crazy or weird or that kind of things. And when we are in this normal world, people we do not understand each other. So we have a lot of people are so focused on the three-dimensional reality that a lot of things for them are strange. And if it's strange, they don't want to do anything with it. So a big part of my life, I've dedicated myself to sports, to martial arts, because it gave me discipline. It gave me also a way to focus. And then when I started studying medicine and I finished my studies, I was very disappointed because I had this idealized idea about what is being a doctor. I thought a doctor was a healer. A doctor helps people. But when I became a doctor, I soon realized that I was just writing prescriptions, I was just treating symptoms. So I started searching, and then I became an acupuncturist. I studied nutrition, homeopathy, meditation. It went on, and everything that I could find that could help people, I was studying and practicing on myself. And so I became from a Western doctor more a holistic doctor. And when I say holistic, the emphasis is not so much on medicine. A lot of people think natural medicine is holistic. If you use herbal and use diet is holistic, and but that's too simplistic. We are very complex beings. We are a mixture of a mortal part and an immortal part. So you can call the immortal part the divine spark, or as Yasmin called it, divine one within. And we have a mortal experience, and it's very confusing for people. So holistic, in my definition, means to look at how these two parts work together. Are you aware that you are more than a human being? Are you aware you're much greater? So a lot of people limit themselves by believing that they're a human being, and they keep themselves very small. They have limiting beliefs about themselves. And even though every one of us have our unique missions in life, many people are blocked by their beliefs, and they think, oh, who am I to go out there and tell my story? And who am I to believe I can make a difference? I think we all have to fight through that period of to finding that balance between the human part and we can call it the spirit part. Also, as a holistic doctor, I've seen things in my practice that you cannot describe. I mean, from people having what I say a karma debt, so that everything they do will fail, other people being cursed, other people being possessed by whatever, what you call it, souls or spirits. So
Spirit.
I've seen so many different things that I no longer can go back and believe that what we see is everything there is. And then having had also a near death experience where I experienced how it is to be not in my body, I can no longer accept that I'm a mortal being. I can accept I have a mortal body, but I know I'm much more than that. And so my journey has been now into bringing to people what we call the Christ consciousness. For me, Christ is not about Jesus Christ, it's about the consciousness of that we are brothers and sisters, and that we are one, and that we are not separated from each other. In the human body we separate, but in the Christ consciousness we are all coming from the same father, the same mother. We are brothers and sisters. We're here to make a difference on this planet, and we need to wake up from the illusion that we're just normal people. And that I see as my big mission now, to wake up more people in making them aware of who they are. So that's the short version.
Thank you for that. And what would you say normal is to you? Because we have so many definitions of normal, and we just found a great definition of weird too. I love being weird, because I've always been weird, and many of us always have been weird. And the definition of weird by dictionary means supernatural or not of this world. So now we can be proud of being weird eventually.
Exactly. One of the things that one time Yasmin said that for me made a big impact. She said, I've been in so many television programs where they were trying to ridicule me and tell me I'm crazy and that, you just want attention. And she said, when you accept that people think you're crazy, you're free to be yourself. Okay. So the normal for me is freedom to be yourself, to be able to express yourself, and not because you're right, but because you're having an experience and it's your experience. So whatever you're experiencing is your normal. And that normal can change over time. What I experienced 10 years ago, what was normal for me then, is not normal anymore because I had more experiences. So constantly the normal adapts to our awakening, to our learning, to our experiences, to our beliefs, and to, the experience we have on our path. So, for example, in February this year, I went to the Amazon. And the reason I went to the Amazon is that I've been called to go to the Amazon. And I met some shamans there. And they said, we're going to do an initiation for you. And you must imagine, we're not taking anything. I was just, let's say, I'm not eating, I'm not drinking. So I did not take any herbs. It's not like ayahuasca or something else. They were just dancing and praying and making music and calling upon the spirits. And I'm looking at them and I say, okay, good luck. I mean, I don't know what you're waiting for, but I don't think something is going to happen. And after, I think, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, I felt an energy coming through my feet, and it felt cold. And when I tuned in, it was like in horror roots, black roots body, and it was totally taken over. It was not me anymore. It was something else in my body, and my body starts to move, and it's not like that, but it starts to shake, just shake like that. And I'm like in my body, do anything to my body. And after 15 minutes, it stopped. And then I was so tired and so exhausted. And then I heard this voice, and the voice says, welcome. We are the spirits of the Amazon. We have been calling you, and we have a mission for you if you want to take this mission. And so in another initiation, I'm taking over again by another energy, and I run into the jungle. And then I stop at a certain plant and I hold this plant, and I say, but it's not me, but another voice, my voice is saying, this is the cure. Well, the cure for what? I don't know. So then I went and tested, and this plant that we are now just bringing to some volunteers to test does something with our sugar metabolism. It changes the way our body reacts to sugar. And what I discovered is that sugar, but also carbohydrates, has an effect on our bodies that will, in a way, increase degeneration in our body, inflammation, degeneration. And I have
Yes.
now a cure that is stopping that from happening. That can also help people with diabetes, but it's good for anybody who's using carbohydrates. So for me now, the new normal is that I can go into a jungle, know nothing about any plant in the jungle, and still I can be guided to a specific plant by an intelligence that is not me. Do you understand? So my normal has changed again. And so every time we learn more, our normal is changing. Does it make sense? So when I met Yasmin, I did not believe in living on light. I went to see Yasmin because I didn't believe it. I think she was crazy. So I went there. And no, what was funny was that when I came there, and this was in Amsterdam in a church, and I was very famous at the time in Holland. So a lot of people knew me, and I was talking to a lot of people. And then all of a sudden, the organizer, I didn't know he was the organizer, but the organizer came to me and said to me, our translator got sick. Can you translate for Yasmin? I heard you can speak good English. Can you translate? I said, okay. So here I am on stage with Yasmin, and she's saying things, and I am explaining in scientific terms what she's saying. At one point, Yasmin looked at me and she said, "You're not a normal translator because you take so much time to translate." I said, "Yes, I'm explaining them what you're trying to say in scientific terms." And then after this, we became friends. Instantly, she asked me to do more translations with her. And but the interesting thing that happened was that after spending one day on stage with her, I couldn't eat for 2 weeks. Just
Yes.
being in her energy, my desire for food went away, and also my desire for drinking. And that's when I thought, this is interesting. I'm going to try this out. So that's when I started to live on light. The first time was just a test. I did not want to live on light, but I want to see if I could live on light. And I did it
Yes.
for 6 months, and it was wonderful. And then I said, okay, I've proven out that I can live 6 months without food, without drinking. And then I stopped. But then last year, I started again in May. I decided I want to be connected again to the field of everything, because when you are not eating, you are living on what I call quantum energy. You're living on another energy, and that energy is the field that everything is in there. You feel more love, you feel more peace. You're a different person than when you're eating. It's very strange to explain to people that when you eat or when you don't eat, you're two different people, total different persons. Okay,
Could be.
and I'm not saying one is good or one is bad, but I like it to not eat because it gives me much more. I am connected to everything. I understand things much better. I get many more ideas. I am guided in a better way. So for me, I can switch back and forth anytime I want, but I prefer to not eat, and especially when I'm doing trainings and stuff like that, or when I'm with my family, my daughter, sometimes I'm eating a little bit to have this feeling of social, family. But it's not that I need it and not that I want it, but being a family, especially with a little daughter, I don't want to to that she, because for her, she understands it, but it's difficult for her to explain to her friends that when she
Yes.
goes and say, "Hey, my daddy is not eating," they think that she's really crazy. So
And
and then I find a balance for us as family.
yes, and we have to explain to the ones watching now, because I feel some people are wondering about this. How
Mhm.
is it possible to be on stage with somebody and then all of a sudden you're not eating? I'm just going to explain that because it happened to me many times. first of all, I've known Jasmine since 2009, and I'm on a pranic path since then, and since 2016, on and off, I can go on liquids or water or just take a little food. So when people come in our presence, it's just this radiation, the auric field that basically changes the structure of your DNA, changes the structure of your energy and the structure of your cells. And that's why eventually you end up not eating for a while or for longer if you're ready, if you're in the presence of a person that radiates that energy of being online. And also when you're translating or just explaining about such energies, because you're streaming it out through your throat chakra, which is the basic chakra of the element of ether or prana or what we're nourished from, you're actually activating in this chakra the frequency of pranic nourishment. So that's why many translators in our pranic festivals and also people who are trying to explain it scientifically and also people who have been in my pranic processes just go on liquids for quite a while after such an event, because I mean, it's normal. You tune into that frequency that's naturally in you, and all of us have that thing. But we also have to say to people that, don't try this at home without any preparation. Because, for example, one here has had a huge spiritual practice before getting into that state. So tell us about that, because I love your rainbow light, for example.
Right. So, indeed, you see, the danger of not being prepared is that you're going to do it on willpower. So you're going to force yourself. So if you do not know what you're doing, you think, oh, this is easy, I'm just going to stop eating and drinking. You need to know that it is not about forcing yourself. It is about opening yourself to a new paradigm. It is a completely new, I call it to be the Homo quantum. So we are Homo sapiens, and a Homo sapiens is governed by a certain part of the DNA. But in the DNA, there is a secret code which can be triggered by different things. One way we can trigger that code is, for example, a yogi master who has learned how to control his body and is not afraid of death can easily switch. A Tai Chi master who is working with energy can easily switch. But also people who are very religious. So it's happened like different times in history that for some monks have been going on without food and drinks for a long time. In America, the Native American Indians, when they go into their rituals, they can go on also for days without food and drinking because they're being carried by this energy. We can call it spiritual energy, but I call it quantum energy. And the reason I call it quantum energy because it is the energy we are in. It is the quantum field. The quantum field is the field of immateriality. So it's what we cannot see. It's pure energy. You can give it a name. You can say this is God's energy. You can call it the universe. But I call it quantum energy.
Call it Planck field, quantum field also.
Yeah, because it's neutral. It's a neutral thing. So in our system, in our DNA, there are codes that can be triggered by different ways. So for example, in hypnosis, when we are not controlled by our ego and our mind, we can hypnotize a person and can have them believe they're eating while they're not eating. We can have them. So for example, in Russia, they did an experiment where they hypnotized people for 4 weeks. And in the 4 weeks time, they were telling them, oh, you can have all the food that you want. You can eat the best breakfast, the best. And the people in their hallucination in hypnosis were believing they were eating and drinking, but they were not eating and drinking, right? In 4 weeks time, nobody drunk, not had any food, nobody lost weight. It was their belief that triggered the DNA code for which they were living on, let's say, as a Britarian. The moment they stopped hypnosis, they went back to normal food and eating because it was just on the hypnosis. It was open like that. So when we want to go over to that, there's a process. Normally, I tell people you start preparing at least 6 months before. The most important thing you need to prepare is to prepare your body and your mind. And the body you prepare by going on a high, I say, a frequency nutrition. So I would recommend everybody to go more on plant-based nutrition, no animal proteins, no dairy, but uh, pure plant, vegetarian, and so on. And as you get closer, you go more to raw foods and you start to eat less and you start to meditate more in absorbing this energy in you. So then it's quite easy for people to do. So if they prepare, take their time, there's no rush. We don't need to rush. And when you go cold turkey, like for example, you today you're eating everything and tomorrow you stop and you go not eating, not drinking, the body always has to go through a detox phase. And that can be very unpleasant for some people. That's why it's better to prepare. I always tell people at least prepare 1 week before with juice fasting and cleanse your intestines with, with some Epsom salt or whatever, so that the body is clean and you have minimal of that. The second thing is in that process, what we recommend, and this is also what Yasmin recommends, is to close yourself out from the outside. You don't go and do your mails and then watch the news and then call on friends. You need to go inside and you meditate. You are with yourself and you listen to very calming music, maybe to some guided meditations. I love the Yasmin meditations that where she connect with the pranic source and all those kind of things. I listen to that regularly. So and you're guided in absorbing this energy that is always there, but that we've closed ourselves off from for a big part. And so it's about opening and surrendering. I remember the first time I did it, and after 3 days, I was getting worried because my mouth was getting very dry and I was not drinking anything. And as a medical doctor, I know that after 4 days of not drinking, it's bad for your kidneys. And after 5 days, you can destroy your kidneys. So I was getting a little bit worried. And
Mm.
then on the fourth day, I accepted that I could die. So okay, if I'm going to die, I'm going to be okay. So I accepted that I could die. And then when I accepted that, everything changed. It was when I surrendered to this power, that's when the big transformation came. And I hear these voices and they're working on me. And I ask, what are you doing? They said to me, we are uh, transforming your DNA so you can absorb the energy, the divine energy directly. And as an acupuncturist, and this is very interesting, is I know that my meridians, so the energy channels in my body, are getting, let's say, energy, electricity. So what is interesting from not eating and not drinking is that all your organs stay in optimal shape. So it is like even if you would not eat for a year and you will start going back to eating, nothing of your organs are destroyed. So normally you would expect the organs not to function anymore. But because they get the energy from the meridians and also from the chakras, but for the organs, mainly from the meridians, they stay in a perfect shape. They stay healthy. They are so you can go on and off without too much trouble. I don't advise anyone to just start eating like crazy because it's too much, but it is not like what is normal in medicine. Just like a muscle that you don't use, it becomes weak. It doesn't have to your organs. And that's just scientifically crazy. We need to have a new paradigm to understand this phenomena. So another way
Yes.
to trigger this were people in India, and they called the sun gazers. So
Yes.
they look into the sun, and they believe if they get the energy from the sun, it doesn't matter because the DNA is triggered by the belief. So it doesn't matter what you believe, it's that you believe it's possible, it happens. And that's why some people can do it with prayer, some with meditation. I have a friend who did it with qigong. She was just absorbing energy and had no problems. For her, it was easy. So
Yeah.
there's so many different ways to do it, but you need to be ready. You need to be mentally ready. I tell people, if you feel a calling, if it's calling you, yes, study it, read the books, and get information, then do it. And what you're saying also I experienced with when I was giving workshops and living online, many people were feeling that. And also my energy is totally different. My vibrations are so much higher when I'm connected to the light than when I'm eating. It is like when you're eating, you're pulled more to the earth. When you're not eating, you are a channel of all the energy of the universe. And it's a beautiful feeling also for the people around you. And it's much easier to do healings as well. It's I've done lots of healings, and it's when I'm fully on light, it's easy. It's so beautiful to do it as well. Mhm.
How long have you been on light now? How is it? How long is it since you've eaten last time? You know, because people are wondering that as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And for the
So
ones watching, you can
mhm,
ask questions in the comments on the
absolutely
YouTube page or the landscape page.
right. So last year in May, I did 1 month meditation and went completely over to the light. All right, and then I think when COVID started in March, I was in a little house in Austria at my mother-in-law. And there I was eating a little bit just because it was a family scenery. And, it was, but I wouldn't eat all day. In the evening, there was dinner, and I would have a little thing and I would eat with the family. But it was not like I was eating for food. There's a big difference. So what people need to understand, you are allowed to do everything you want, but you do not need nutrition. So it's same thing like people who eat normal meals, that they snack in between. They take a little apple or something like that. So when we live on light, we have different options. We can be 100% pure, no food, no drink. Some people will have some drinking, and some people will have some what they call snacking. So you taste a little bit here, you taste a little bit there. So and before I came back to the States, I was more in the snacking period. Now, since I'm back here, I am off everything. I'm taking some liquids for detox, just like 2 glasses a day to help my body cleanse from everything that's in there. And as soon as I feel my body is cleansed, I am being completely off everything, because that's when I feel the best. And
Yeah.
what I discovered was something funny, that the only thing my body wanted was champagne, which was really strange. So every day I was taking, I call it happy hour. I was taking
Yeah.
a glass of champagne, and the bubbly things would do something. I will get lightheaded, and I would have
Mm.
a different type of connection than when I don't drink that. So, but for me, I didn't need food. Just give me a glass of champagne. I was the happiest guy on in the whole block.
What does
Now,
it What
hmm?
does it remind you of? Because every food like this that makes us happy when we don't need food is a
Right.
memory we cherish.
Exactly. For me,
Uh-huh.
champagne remembered me a celebration of life. So for me,
Yes.
it was celebrating. It was a kind of gratitude for life. So when I would always start and say, okay, I would say cheers to life, and then I would really sip it. It gave me that feeling of I cannot call it success, but more, I'm on the right path. I'm celebrating. I'm having this journey with so many miracles, so many beautiful people. I'm celebrating that life. That's my success. And that
Yeah.
champagne was doing that for me. And snacks were just for fun, but champagne was more a kind of an anchor for a meaning, just like you said. It's really
Yes.
beautiful to experience that.
I have this with green olives. They remind
Mhm,
me of a
okay.
moment. They remind me of a moment where after the Pranic festival in Italy, after
Hmm.
I worked constantly for 10 days, having 2 conferences a day sometimes and sessions in between, like constant work,
Yeah, yeah.
I went somewhere and I was with a friend at a table and we were finally resting after this huge event. And as they ordered olives and that crispy bread that they make in Italy, I had
Oh.
one is indeed a celebration of friendship, a celebration of relaxation, like giving myself a prize after, a long work. I always have that when I need to, chill out and remember friendship. It's amazing.
It's so
So
funny
it's
that we all have a different anchors. What also for
mm,
me is interesting when I live on light is my relationship to food. So I love cooking. So I cook for my family, but just the smell of the food gives me the satisfaction. It's just like it's almost like eating, but with the smell. And when, for example, my wife is cooking or someone else cooking, I just like come and I take a little fork, I take a little bit, and I like the taste of it,
yeah.
but I don't need it as a nutrition. But I mean, it tastes more delicious when you don't need it than when you eat it every day. It is really, it's really
Yes,
beautiful. And there are a lot of things I don't care about, but when it smells good, I like to smell, and sometimes I like to taste, and just wow. And I'm happy with just a little bit, and I feel super. It's a great feeling. And as a medical doctor, also what I want to share with people is there are several reasons why I'm doing this. Reason number one is to remind myself of my immortality so that I am not stuck as a human being. So I'm greater than that, that I have,
expanded.
yes, that I know I'm immortal. That's one part. The second part, why I love doing this, I am more connected to, I would say, to the field. I'm connected to the intelligence of the quantum field. Connected to the creativity of the quantum field. I get ideas that are just crazy. And what changed with me is I no longer identify with being a doctor. I don't see myself just as a doctor. Everything is possible. That's the life I'm living right now. I'm doing things that I would not do before. And the third reason is it is tremendous good for my body. So my body, and when people see pictures of me, they say you're glowing. There's this energy of glow around you. And when I'm not living on light, I mean, I glow a little bit maybe, but I'm not glowing as much as when I live. And it's this feeling of also deep inside of you of not being so triggered by the world. So I feel like I live in the world, but I am not of the world. That what that means is that a lot of things that are happening, no longer I can look at them from the human side with pain or judgment or whatever. It's accepting where we are and asking myself the question, is this something I can do something about it? But I'm no longer into deep emotions where I would get angry and upset. So when I'm living on light, I'm much more in an observing mode, coming from love, coming from, I would say, less judgment and more acceptance. But still, some things can pain me. Some things I can feel injustice very strong in my body. When I see injustice, I can really feel it, and I need to transform it. I need to forgive and let go, and step out of the pain of judgment and the pain of the things that are happening that I cannot change in any shape or form. So living on light give
Yeah.
me more access to that part of me, that when I'm just eating, I'm much more, I would say, more emotional. I am easier triggered. I worried more. I am more driven in a way, believing I need to force myself, those kind of things. It's a total different feeling.
Yes, yes, it's like this. I would define it as this feeling of lightness, this feeling of
Exactly.
being one with all. And every time
Mm,
sometimes happens that you would normally judge or be
mm,
triggered by, at
mm,
least in my case, when I'm in that state, I get the situation, I also get the answer or the higher picture of
mm,
it.
mm.
And when
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get
yeah.
the
It's,
higher picture of it, and you can no longer get triggered. I mean, even if
mm,
it
mm, mm.
triggers you a little bit, then
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I get it.
Exactly.
It's just yet
Exactly.
another game. Okay, let's have fun with it. Let's see what
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
can bring. And then you're opening to more possibilities, and you can
Absolutely.
actually transmute it into something useful for yourself and humanity.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Especially in this time of COVID, of this virus, where we were triggered probably on so many ways. It's so nice to look at it from a different perspective and find new solutions instead of
Absolutely.
find new problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Actually, I'm happy you're mentioning that, because that, I think that's a great message for everyone who's watching, is that, when something like that happens and we look at the world with eyes open, and we can see what's happening and see what's behind what's happening, you know it's been a wake up call for many people, and in different levels. One wake up call has been, for a lot of people, is that yes, we need to take care of our health. It's very important to take care of us, the body, and that, but also the mind and the spirit. And for me, I saw the darkness behind the COVID-19, because I went very, very deep into researching what is really going on. And I was very early when it started in China, because I also teach in China. So my students
mhm,
came to me, and I helped over 60,000 of the Chinese students through this period.
mhm.
And so when I saw the darkness behind what is happening, the power that's being used and abused, forcing us to do things, even those things are correct or not, creating fear with so many people, and then really, destroying the economy. Yeah, that was a wake up call for me as well, to understand that my mission is now bigger than it was before COVID-19. I need to wake up more people now, and more
Oh,
people are awake than before. Mhm.
all of us
Yeah.
had much more work to do, even if we were apparently confined. Like, thank God for the internet and the internet. So much subtle work
Absolutely.
has been
Absolutely.
done
That's
that
so true.
can't really be monitored, but it's real
Mhm.
and it's happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Because, Mhm. Go ahead.
go ahead. Yes, sir.
Because it is also nice that you said thank for internet, because before I was doing a lot of live workshops, I was traveling all over the world, and now I decided, well, I'm just going to stay home and do it from home. So I have no more time in that sense. I can reach more people, and it's totally not stressful at all. It's totally shift. So I say thank you, COVID-19. You changed my life in that way for sure. Mhm.
Well, yeah, there's also been suffering, and we are totally, we're bowing and we're honoring the ones who have gone
Absolutely.
through suffering. And I've had close friends, and even my body has been challenged, of this. So I'm honoring that from the perspective of having experienced what it feels in multiple levels. But then we went beyond, and we know that it has a brighter part, a brighter side that we can look at, that is real and that is true, and that is actually nothing is outside God. Nothing can
Hmm.
happen without the presence of God. It's
Absolutely.
whatever darkness has light behind it. There's the
Mm.
very opposite of it in the exact or even more quantity that is available for us.
Yeah.
Before I forget, I want to ask, because I know some people are really interested on this. I just finished an 8-day Pranic process online with people, and we discussed a lot of detox with them and how to take care of their body and prepare their body before and after a process. So you mentioned some drinks. Do you want to tell us more about this? I know it's really the nitty gritty of it, but I know people are apparently wanting to know this.
Okay. So one of the things is that I do a lot of exercise. So I in the morning I do at least 1 hour of physical exercise, do meditation, do yoga, all those kind of things. And what I've noticed is that when you're doing that, a lot of people take a lot of vitamins and supplements and all those things. And I tell people you don't need to. Number one, you need to know that if you train your mind, you can absorb all the vitamins out of, if I can live without food and drink, it is, that means that my body can make the vitamins. This is one thing that people need to know. But in the transition, what I recommend people to do is to use what is called a lot of the power foods, like the acai, the goji berries, some of the cacao and all those things. I
Yeah.
prefer that over vitamins. And, especially when you start mixing them, you can mix them with things like spirulina, those kind of things. So you want to look for the foods that contain, first of all, they like the acai, it comes from the Amazon, and that kind of stuff. It has a lot of energy and life to it, and so you want to combine these things like with ginger. You can do ginseng, especially if you do a lot of exercise, and then you have also the detox part that's important. And one part in the detox that I recommend people always is to use a lot of fibers. So to take out all kinds of sugars, also all the fast carbohydrates like potatoes, rice, all those kind of things, and focus on every day get a lot of fibers in through vegetables and fruits, because the fibers is the detox. The fibers pull out of the colon the all the heavy metals, the chemicals, and all of that. And also, if a lot of people have used a lot of carbos or had antibiotics or use sugar, it's good to use some probiotics as well. So things like where you have all the um, healthy bacteria for the gut, because the gut is very, very important. What I discovered with living on light is that sooner or later there will be a balance in the gut. So it will be like the light is chasing away all the stuff that's not good for you. So you get a more natural flora, which is interesting because you're not eating, but the body balances itself when it's giving light. What people also need to know is that foods with a lot of light are the fresh fruits and the fresh vegetables. So that's a high vibration, is a very good preparation for also detox, but also going there. There are different ways of detox. Some people do it the harsh way, the water fasting. I normally tell people to do more a kind of a milder form with especially red beets, red carrots, and kale to use that in celery. That's a really powerful things you can mix or match or use it separate. But those are also very good. If you mix them a little bit with cilantro, it pulls out the heavy metals and also the chemicals out of the body. And let's never forget water. We can never when we detox, not drink enough water. That's super crucial. But here's the one thing that I miss with most detox practices is that most people rely on what I call the outside, but much more powerful is the inside. That's your mind. And let me give you an example how powerful this is. I heard these stories, and I know these are true stories of masters in yoga who can take lethal poison, drink it, and allow it to go through their body without dying. So just think about that. I know this is true. I know it's not a story. It's not a myth. If that's possible, what are they doing in order for the poison not to be absorbed into the body? Does that make sense? So we rely on all the things that I just said, and there are much more things that we can do, but also use your mind by using visualization. And I teach people like a breathing practice where you have two parts of the breathing. One is what we call the more fire breath, the rapid breathing. And you're visualizing when you're doing this very fast breathing that you are pushing out the toxins out of your body. And the lungs, most people don't know, they don't realize the lungs are very powerful detox machine. Your skin and your lungs, a very powerful
Yeah.
detox machine. So just by doing the breathing, maybe just 3-4 minutes visualizing that you're breathing out all toxins. I start with that and then I say, okay, now calm down and focus now on your root chakra and imagine all the toxins in your body from all the cells, starting from your head, are now flowing down through your root chakra, through your legs, through your feet, deep into the earth. And then do this for 5, whatever, 10 minutes, whatever you like. as a practice. So now we're combining outside and inside. I believe personally that inside is more important than outside. That outside is good, but when we do it with our minds and our spirit, the effects are 10 times more effective than when we only do it from the outside. And the same technique I also teach to cancer patients, that they focus on releasing the cells of cancer and bringing in light and love where the cancer is, and not see the cancer as something to fight against. Because one thing we do know, what you resist persists. But if you give it love and light and energy, and that's where I love working with rainbow colors. And then I tell them, keep breathing in, and through your crown chakra, bringing the rainbow, and bring this to the part where the cancer is, until that also lightens up like the rainbow, and then see the cells dissolve and then go through your feet. And this is, I've seen people heal from the most horrible forms of cancer just with these kind of exercises. So it's
Yes,
very
and it's
powerful.
very it's easy to understand too, and we'll explain it, scientifically,
Hmm.
for those who are questioning how can rainbow light can heal such things. So we are frequency. Everything in our body and everything else around us is frequency and vibration. That has been proven. There's
Hmm.
the Kirlian photos that are showing our organs in our auric field as being energy and color. When we use an energy that comprises all the colors,
Hmm.
like rainbow is the complete range of
Spectrum.
colors that
Hmm.
are in the physical world, it actually nourish and repattern the organ that is imbalanced, because any imbalance in an organ is a frequency being too high and a frequency being too low in there. So when you work with rainbow, which is the complete range of colors, it just balances the one that is too high and balances the one that is too low, and it brings it everything into balance. That's something I work with a lot, and lots
Exactly.
of the things that you've described are part of my work. So it's like I'm so honored to have this opportunity.
Yeah.
It's
And what I
just
also like
confirming
about,
everything I've been
yeah,
seeing for 10 years. Thanks.
absolutely. And also what I like about the rainbows is that they really corresponds beautiful with the chakras as well. So I have a
Exactly.
rainbow exercise I do wherein I am standing in the rainbow, and so my chakras are completely being charged by the rainbow. And so yeah, the rainbow is a great metaphor for that, and it's a full spectrum of light. And what I've done when I go and I do this daily is I practice breathing in the rainbows, but also it coming in through my crown chakra, cleansing my whole body. And then I will continue till my whole body is filled with this color and it start coming out of my skin. So what I tell people is like I see these millions of mini laser beams of rainbows coming out of my skin. And then I imagine being this cloud that expands and contract, of like a rainbow cloud, expands and contract. And when I reach that state in my mind, there's no hunger, there's nothing. You are just so happy and fulfilled. So it's a wonderful practice also for the people who want to, let's say, heal their bodies or want to eat less, because often a lot of people eat too much because of addiction. It's not really that our body needs so much food. So in general, people eat too much. So it's a good practice to become first a conscious eater. So everything you take to your body, you consciously chew, you taste. I call it the tantric experience of eating. What you will notice, you will eat less, you feel more happy, more satisfied, and your body will function better. So everything is related with everything. So it's great to have this conversation with you and to see how many things we resonate with each other. I think I lost you or not. Okay. Hello? Are you coming back?
We're here, yeah. Just when
Okay.
we got to the tantric experience, that's weird.
Too much energy. That's funny. Mm, okay. Okay, I'm here. Mhm. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Just when we got to the tantric experience of eating,
Yeah.
the connection got interrupted. That's weird.
Yeah. Too
We're
much
back.
energy.
Mhm. So you were saying that everything is like a tantric experience, which tantra, to some who don't understand, doesn't mean necessarily a sexual experience. It means an experience of union, of being united to all, right?
Yeah, we see a lot of people are confused because you see the art of tantra has been linked to sexuality, but actually, number one, the art of tantra is the art of enjoying life with all your five senses in everything. So it is a five sensory experience of life. So when we, for example, we eat food and we're blindfolded, the food will not taste the same. You can tell. I've been to these restaurants where you are complete in the dark. It is a total different experience. But we are not in realization of because of how fast we live, we don't take the time to enjoy everything. We don't take the time to enjoy. Let's say some people do a hug, but they do a hug really quickly and then they move on. But when you hug someone and you both drop into that space of silence and oneness, it's a tantric experience. It's not a sexual experience, it's a full tantric experience. Having a conversation with someone where you are there, one with the other person, you feel the person, you're with them in their stories, that's a tantric experience. So when we are walking in nature and we take our time to smell the roses, to look at the beauty around us, that's a tantric experience. So for me, when we can make life a tantric experience, we come into the bliss state, and then we are the happiest we are, and everything we look at with eyes of love and eyes of, the beauty of creation, and then life becomes tantra, and then that's the most beautiful thing there is.
Absolutely. And to explain this, like living on prana or breatharianism, how they call it, which is inaccurate to me, is a tantric experience, because in that state you feel that you are actually connected to all and you're part of all. It's the ultimate connection.
Absolutely, absolutely
You're
true.
so
Yeah,
connected that you don't feel separate from your source energy that nourishes and creates yourself.
absolutely,
That's the
absolutely.
ultimate tantric experience. Yeah.
And yeah, so that's what it was also described with food. I don't need the food, but the smell of the food is a tantric experience. It's like, oh my, and then the only question, how would this taste? Because that's another part of the tantric experience. It is not that the nutrition, the eating is not the important part. It's the smell, the taste, the texture that becomes the experience. So one teaspoon can mean more to me than a whole meal because of the experience, and
Mm.
having the freedom to do that makes it so beautiful, because you can enjoy everything that's there. Does this make sense?
Absolutely. I remember having been in Darkroom. It's one of my favorite game.
Yeah.
I did one in 2013 for 10 days, and then last year I did 17 days.
Hmm.
They were 7 days with Chia and 10 days with Jasmine, so that I
Uh-huh,
see
okay.
the masculine and the feminine version of it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
and you know that in Darkroom you don't see anything outside, you just see the inner with the inner perception, and you also don't eat solid food, and they give you these juices every once in a while, 3 times a day or so, that you actually don't really need at some point, because you're so expanded that you
Hmm.
feel that you're part of that void, you are one with the void. When I enter that space, I'm the void itself, I
Hmm.
feel like that. But then when you take a sip of watermelon juice, it's
Hmm.
like an explosion. It's like something like the body vibrates.
Hmm.
And it's not necessarily just because of taste. Actually, the throat chakra can be a little resistant to the experience because it's used to a higher thing, a higher
Hmm.
energy. But it's the energy of being in that space, being completely expanded, and all of a sudden coming back to being a body that swallows a juice. It's very interesting. Just
Yeah,
perceive.
yeah.
And I remember you were interested in that as well. So probably it will come up soon, I guess. I don't know if this year or next year, probably next
Yeah,
year.
yeah, I'm on the list. I really want to experience that because I've done 6 months blindfolded, going through life blindfold, which was an interesting experience. And that was part of my martial arts training. And
Continuously?
yeah, so there, you will use other senses to move around than your eyes. And there's a training where you can see without your eyes, but it's I've started training that, which is quite interesting because it's a complete different experience. So you're much open more to other things than just the eyes and stuff like that. And I think why it's important for us to also talk about these things is that there's so many things we can experience in life, and so everybody needs to find what brings them closer to themselves. What is the experience you need? Is it meditation? Is it like some people spend time in an ashram? Some people go fasting. I like to test things out just to find out what resonates the most with me. You know, it's like I've done also to ayahuasca. It was a nice experience, but for me it was not that. I can see where it's great for the people. When you're already connected, it's not the same. You see, I'm saying it's a
Yes.
different experience for. So
And
I like these
it's too
things.
much vomiting too.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I didn't do it last time. No, I said vomiting is not for me. Yeah. So life is about experiencing your humanity and your spirit's part, both experiences. That's what's going to make you complete. It's not, you don't want to have one without the other. It's the combination of those parts that are made complete. So for me, for example, when I was talking with Yasmin, she was telling me when she's home, she's doing so much fitness and stuff like that. I like that because that's part of the human physicality. And then you do yoga and meditation. That's the other part of physicality and spirituality. So it's a combination of both that I enjoy most in this life.
Yes, being able to merge them into one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to keep it too long. It's just one
Yeah,
thing
sure.
that comes to me
Mm-hmm.
is that one of my biggest dreams, and it feels like the next project to come, because for 10 years I've been organizing Pranic festivals and Pranic summits, and I've
Mm-hmm.
written one book on nourishment, about the Pranic world, actually, all the people that I met, one book on the dark room, which is a Pranic training. And the next best thing seems to be to merge people coming from the scientific world, like doctors and physicists and geneticists, and we already have a group like this that we're discussing about these things, and have participated, some of them, to the Pranic festivals, or have been breatharians themselves, like Nasima Amin, for example, to really start to research this. Like, imagine if we had a study on breatharianism now, and if we knew exactly what the body is doing, what the endocrines is doing, what the circulatory system is doing, what happens to the muscles, what happens to the ATP, what happens to mitochondria. If we knew all that, then no virus could beat us. I mean, we would have the perfect recipe already, without pharmaceuticals and vaccines and stuff. And we didn't do it, yet. Even if this thing is being popular on this planet for at least 30 years, nobody started to really dive deeper into research this. So we're looking forward for this to happen. And what would be your ideas on this?
Yeah, this year I created first of all, a TV program. So I created what's called a TV format, where a group of people are going to be in a closed environment for 4 weeks, right? Because 4 weeks without drinking scientifically is not possible. Even 2 weeks is not possible, right? So that's
Yes,
one thing.
8 days is the scientific approach.
Yeah, that's the bare thing. So imagine being 4 weeks without drinking, without food. And so I divide in three groups. One group will be experienced Breatharians. One group will be people who want to become Breatharians, and people will be just, I want to try it, see how far I get. And this under medical supervision. So we blood, urine, all those kind of things, and all the measurements we need. My goal with creating this TV format is a couple of things. One, to make this known worldwide as possible. People don't know yet. People don't understand. So we're going to let them 24 hours. We're going to be totally visible. We cannot cheat. So it's going to be in the open there, right? And the second thing is to educate people, because most people don't realize that our eating habits is also part of destruction of the planet. You know, if we eat, for example, cow meat, we eat pork meat. If you know what the pork, how much toxins they produce, how terrible this is for the soil. I mean, the cows producing methane gas. So the more plant-based we go, the better for Mother Earth. So that would be one thing for people to realize, because a lot of people still believe they need animal protein. You know, let's begin there. We don't need them. And to have these discussions with scientists, so we will have a panel where a group will say, this is impossible, but we'll have professors, doctors, all those people there, and that they can do any type of research, like what you're saying. Let's check, you know, the mitochondria, the ATP. You know, will have people who are going to measure the meridians, measure the aura field, blood, all that. So collect data for 4 weeks, and then we can always continue with more research, but we'll have enough basic data to form certain conclusions and to ask or to know what else research we need to do. And then one of my goals is to also put the idea out there that, you know, if we're going to send people to Mars, one of the biggest problem with traveling is food. Why don't we
Absolutely.
train the astronauts to be breatharians? Well,
It
number
would be
one, they
great.
will have a stronger immune system. They don't need to. If you go to Mars with a crew of 100 people, do you know how much water and food you need to bring? They can adapt
Yeah.
better to radiation in space, all those kind of things.
Yes.
So that would make it easier to go to Mars, to send the first group of people. And you know,
Yes.
so and if we sent, I know that NASA was researching someone at certain time. I don't know what came out of it. I didn't follow that. That was one of the sun gazers. But if we
Mhm.
do it in such a way, we have a good scientific study in, but also make it educational to the world at the same time, that they can see it. Then I know that a lot of people will feel the calling to do it, and so we can educate them how to do it in a proper way. That's why we have a group that we will show how to do it in 4 weeks time. that would
Mhm.
that will have so many different purposes: scientific, education, getting out there to be known, and you know, that people don't ever have to say again, you know, this is impossible, you must be cheating. I think you're doing tonight, you're gonna eat or something like that. This kind of discussions, you know,
Yes.
uh, that is my goal. So I have the TV format ready, but then came COVID-19. So then I could
Yeah,
not, but it will come. I'm sure it will happen.
it's coming closer. Many of us are aiming for that, and you know, I know a team of scientists that are believing in it and are,
Hmm.
constantly keeping in touch with them. And
Hmm.
I just held a conference in California last year at the Resonance Academy,
Okay.
the foundation of Nassim Haramein, with
Hmm.
scientists that assisted with the director of the HeartMath Institute, with many
Hmm.
other physicists, geneticists, and all this,
Hmm.
that have assisted to a conference about breatharianism. And
Wow.
we had talks after this, and we had, Brian Foster, who did the Thrive movie. All these
Hmm.
people were there, and many, many others I can't remember now, but we had the honor to talk to them and be you know, at the same table and have fun together. And they saw and read my book, and they believe in this. And many scientists, at least from that group, have actually experienced breatharianism from 6 months to 1 year and a half to 3 years, like Nassim has done. So many are really trusting that this is possible, and seeing more of us now that I'm making it available to public, like many of us do, you know, in such groups especially. It's much more openness to this, and I think we have the research tools as well, like the mechanisms and all that. And I'm
Absolutely.
close friends with Dr. Sudhir Shah from India, who has monitored and researched Pralajani, the yogi who was 70 years on just prana. He has researched that person for 14 days the first time and 10 days the second time in hospitals with, you know, the story, with all the surveillance necessary and 35 specialists from different field of medicine. And both times it has been proven true that he was okay, and he was even forming liquid in his bladder and then resorbing it, which is unprecedented.
Yeah.
And I met personally Pralajani in India as I organized
Okay.
this Pranic festival in March before the pandemic, right before it started.
Okay.
So I actually caught the last flight back, and I was with him, and I have some videos where we were testing his chakras and feeling, he made me feel his the palate of his mouth where Amrita was flowing and all that. And
Cool.
unfortunately, now he left his body. But there are studies that also the military of India, the military department, have requested to be done with this yogi, and have been done in hospitals. They are not made public, but have been proven to be true. And I've seen that study. I've had it in my own hands. I've researched it. It's real, and this stuff is
I
real.
know.
And why is not published yet? That's the big question, you know.
It's coming. It's coming. I am
one
sure.
study one study can be found on Dr. Sudhir Shah website. He's probably even watching us right now because I sent him the link. But the other study is the one with the military of India is not allowed to be published, which I
Okay.
hope will change.
Right.
So that's how far we went at this moment, and I'm really glad to hear about your project. Whatever support you need, I mean,
Absolutely.
in terms of connections and stuff like this
Absolutely.
with scientists,
We are
we'll
now
be happy.
connected. We are connected now. That's good. Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
inviting me. Thank you.
Is there anything you would like to add or ask before we complete?
No, I think we covered all the basics. I think the most important takeaway for people who are new to this is that you do not need to completely live on light in order to have the benefits of living on light. It's just by having a practice where you're absorbing the energy and where you're telling your body that everything it needs is right there for it. You can already partially be living on light, because we all are connected to the light. So it's not black or white. There's also an area where you can start practicing, just absorbing the energy and feeding your body, healing your body with light. And that's everybody can do that. You don't need to stop eating and drinking completely in order to absorbing. That's also important for people to know. Okay. And me,
And I
and
love.
for your wonderful presence.
Thank you for joining us, and you're officially invited to the Pranic Festival in Romania, which is August 15 to 19. It's live here in the Romanian mountains. We're doing this every year in August 15 for 5 days. So if you could participate live, it would be a great thing.
Yeah, let's keep in touch on that. So let me know
Keep
and
in touch. If
see how
not,
it is.
you're welcome to be online with us. I'm very grateful for you being in this world,
Me too.
and all of us.
Thank
I'm
you.
really grateful that you've chosen to come and that you've chosen to stay.
Thank you very much. And we'll be in touch. I'll see you again. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Much love.
everyone. for watching. Much love. Bye-bye. And for more on this Pranic festival, if you want to see all of the videos, there's this link that you can follow in the comments. It's on the page of the Pranic festival that you've received in the email, and it's also going to be placed in the comments on YouTube and underneath this video. And at that link, you can see all our events. You can join the Pranic Festival in Romania, you can join the Pranic process online, and you can join to access all the videos of this Pranic Festival, which has been ongoing since March, and we've had conferences with fabulous people together. So thank you everyone for watching. This is Cristiana and Eltrayan, sending you much love and much gratitude for your presence. Big hugs to all.